Well, hello, that's me again. Today is August 30th. It is Friday. Happy Friday, everybody. And as you saw yourself in the opening video, the movement of the whatever is left of the forces and resources which have been fed into the Kursk, which is now not just meat grinder, it's meat grinder squared, if not cubed. Yeah, the movement and more of the traffic of whatever the essentially NATO force is there is not very good for your health, and Russians control every single basically road and approach from Sumy towards Kursk, and we'll talk about this a little bit. And but first I want to address the lingering question, actually lingering issue. Some people got scared of what Mr. Franz Klintsevich, the member of parliament, member of State Duma, former colonel. He was a propagandist in the Russian Soviet armed forces, rather, and he has a political education, so he was spreading the incredible things about upcoming nuclear war, and that what the U.S. carrier battle groups approaching Persian Gulf and things of this nature, and they are there to threaten Russia and things of this. And looks like it's not going away, because you cannot really calm people down. Granted, the situation is very tense there, and it has nothing to do with Russia. It has everything to do with Israel and what they commit in terms of atrocities, essentially now, and killing civilians. But there is also the element there of the actual combat with the military force such as Hezbollah, and of course an anticipation of what is Iran will do. So let me show you something about these carrier battle groups. As you can see yourself, it was 4 days ago, in August 26, as Military Times reports that 2 U.S. aircraft carriers to stay in Middle East after Hezbollah attack. The Pentagon has extended the deployment of the aircraft carrier Theodore Roosevelt and its strike group after a largely failed attack by the Iran-backed Lebanese Hezbollah on Israel over the weekend. It is all about Israel and Iran, obviously. And so, pardon me, they continue with the Theodore Roosevelt replaced the carrier Dwight D. Eisenhower, whose deployment to the region has itself been extended multiple times. It's the issue of the readiness of the U.S. Navy. They do have issues there. And so they say that in addition to Lincoln, another fighter jet squadron and other assets have also been rushed to the region. The Georgia, a ballistic missile submarine. Wrong. It is not a ballistic missile submarine, and I will explain to you why Military Times makes such a horrendous mistake, but still, is still on its way to CENTCOM. Pentagon Press Secretary, Air Force Major General Pat Ryder told reporters Monday. So we will go further. We'll get into the Business Insiders from Yahoo News, and they say that U.S. military is planning to keep 2 carrier strike groups in the Middle East for a time. The move is a part of a larger buildup of U.S. forces in the Middle East and Eastern Mediterranean. The U.S. Navy has 2 carrier strike groups deployed to the Middle East for the first time in years. First, what is Middle East? The Middle East is the euphemism, essentially, for the area of the Persian Gulf. And first, I need to correct mistake by Military Times. For some reason, come on, where's your editors? First, USS Georgia. Here's this lady. It is was called SSBN 729, but now it is SSGN 729, which means guided nuclear. She is an old lady. She is from 1982. She was commissioned in 1982, and she's nearing her, 42 years now. So she is due for decommissioning, well, maybe another 5-7 years, and that's about it. So what many people do not understand, it has been converted from the original Ohio-class strategic missile submarine with ballistic missiles into the carrier of the, good old, Tomahawks. It carries the, 154 IGM 109. U in UGM stands for underwater, I believe, and so they have 154 of those things. And here comes the question about Franz Klintsevich and this panic which he stated on the talk show. It's a talk shows there. You have to understand. Serious analysts are not invited there because they are boring. They don't like BS, and Franz Klintsevich has absolutely zero understanding what is the naval operations are. And I addressed it yesterday when I was talking to Nima, and I understand my good friend Nima also spoke to the wonderful Dmitry Orlov, who also pretty much stated the same. And let me explain. First, if we talk about the UGM 109, its Block 2 is the longest, I believe. I believe it has 2,500 kilometer range. But again, we don't know what kind of block it carries. Both the escorts of the carrier battle groups, which are Arleigh class destroyers, they still carry Tomahawks, but there are some other versions which are different from which pretty old version Block 2. They are shorter range because Block 2 has a range of 2,500 kilometers. And here, as I already stated, there are Middle East is the euphemism of for Persian Gulf and areas. So those two carrier battle groups, let me show you, they will be staying away from any kind of entrance on the Persian Gulf because they will be the targets of the very capable Iranian anti-shipping missile salvos. So they are not suicidal, so they will be standing somewhere around there, you know, as you can see yourself. And what I did when Mr. Klintsevich stated that, yeah, that's, you know, the Tomahawks and all that, they will, launch, for some reason, 4,000 missiles. I don't know where he gets his numbers, but here it is. If you take put, for example, White Line and the same USS Georgia and launch of the Tomahawks, together with actually the escorts, carrier battle group escorts such as Arleigh Burks, and assuming that they carry the Block 2, which is the longest, here it is. If they launch them from there, they certainly can cover Iran. But the problem is, if you look attentively at the ranges, on the White Range, why would they want to, attack Baku? The city of, Absheron, Azerbaijan, the city where I was born, I have no idea. I mean, I won't put past them. There are a bunch of the nut jobs in Washington who also won the World War III. But so far, it's not them who runs this show. And as you can see yourself, yeah, it's 2,500 kilometers. So if you put them a little bit closer, they still will be able only to blow up something in the northern Azerbaijan and Georgia. Why would they do there? What kind of threat, except for the threat of attacking Iran it represents? I don't know. Iran certainly have been visited by Mr. Shoigu recently and by probably other people, and Russians certainly will be sharing the intelligence on any movements of those carrier battle groups. So this is what it is. It is strictly about Israel and Iran and reaction to Iran response, possible response on Israel. So, of course, the other thing is the East Mediterranean, where they will be gathering some other forces. But as you can see yourself, the range from, for example, Crimea, well, and not only Crimea, you can draw the range into the Black Sea coast of the Caucasus of Russia, is measly 770 miles, and it's about 1,200 kilometers, way shorter than the range of any hypersonic Kinzhals. So as you might expect, anything there is within the range, and once MiG-31s start flying from Russian territory, people who will be there with the idea of attacking, for example, Russian assets in Syria, in Tartus and Khmeimim, they better start praying, because nothing will stop what will be coming to them in less than 4 minutes, because Kinzhal, Mach 10 plus and things of this nature. So this is what is basically strategic situation there, and yeah, it is all about Iran and Israel. But why would, first, where will they get those 4,000 missiles? I have no idea. So he evidently thinks, he just calculated probably that, oh, okay, it has 4 Arleigh class per carrier battle group, so he thinks that, oh, okay, 96 cells, let's multiply by 4, well, rather 8, and there you go, you have that huge number. Well, no, you don't. people have to keep in mind that out of 96 cells, most of them, not most, but a majority, I mean half plus, are actually not loaded with Tomahawks. They are loaded with all those SM-6s and SM-3s, air defense missiles. And so, yeah, when you begin to calculate, okay, so if United States wants to commit suicide, which it doesn't, evidently, yeah, what you have probably, well, around 400 missiles, really, if you give and take through all those, calculations, which they can launch. And yeah, once they launch slow Tomahawks with Russian ISR, yeah, it's not a good idea, because the response will be catastrophic. And this is what Russians are talking about for a while now, in terms of the updating nuclear policy, which should probably, it's not lowering their threshold, it's just clarifying thing. And the clarification is anything Europeans or in Europe is done against Russian interests, United States gets it. That's pretty much what is going, the update will be, and that's merely just to, put a little bit of lasso, if you wish, a noose around those people in Washington who are still there, who are complete nut jobs and think that they can survive World War III. They cannot. They will be gone. So, and this is one thing. Now, if we, now about this F-16 thing. So, oh my god, US-made Wall Street Journal, US-made F-16 fighter jet crashes in Ukraine. So you're already probably aware of what is going on, the hysteria, well, whatever. Now they came up with the idea that actually it was Patriot which shut down F-16 with this, pilot, whoever this pilot is. And then suddenly there is a moment of clarity. Here's one of the Nazis from Ukraine, and suddenly she's talking about the different intakes by the Ukrainian and Western media is remarkable. Headlines in Ukraine are about the death of one of the most experienced Ukrainian pilots, Alexei Mes, while headlines of Wall Street Journal and CNN are about the loss of an F-16. The equipment is replaceable. People aren't. No, lady, whoever you are, not so stupid, dumbass. I mean, West doesn't care about Ukrainians. To the last Ukrainian, and as Mr. Medvedev already stated, that basically it's all about resources of Donbass, because Donbass contains more than a half of the critical resources. It's something in excess of $10 trillion, from coal to all kinds of other ores and things of this nature, while Western Ukraine contains $500 billion of resources. So Russians gladly will give up the Western Ukraine. So it's also part of this hysteria in the West, is because, well, being a dumbasses, I mean, because they do not understand what war is, what Russia is, how the balance of forces is calculated. They never teach them in any of the US higher educational facilities who produce all those elites in business and, political elites. They suddenly recognize that, yeah, Russians don't care about Western Ukraine, except for, how to put it politely, denazifying it. But in terms of resources, Russia is, by accepting these 4 new territories, created an incredible boost for economy and its resource rich base. And so they invested in Ukraine, thinking that Ukrainians are about to collapse Russia, and this Putin's regime will just go out, with a bang, But no, yeah, things turned out to be completely opposite, 180 degrees or 360 degrees, as Annalena Baerbock says. And now they have to return their investment. How they can return it? No way they can do it. And again, you know what, they brought the knife to their machine gun fight, and so they are now facing this very grim reality. Now about this Kursk adventure. And as you saw in the opening video, so yeah, any force which moves there is immediately identified and killed. And now they are all basically dispersed around most of the whatever teeny-weeny, about 100 square kilometers area. And you have to keep in mind that when we talk about this, as you can see yourself on this map, okay, of and I show this map that their main, one of the main political objectives, which have been conceived in London, that was city of Kurchatov with the Kursk nuclear power plant. You will see yourself that this is merely a scheme. There is no solid front line for what remains out of those people there. So, and let's take a look at their. So basically, when you look attentively at the shaded area, it's not like this. It should be polka dot mostly. And just to demonstrate to you, for example, this is how the actual professional maps will look like. Here's our friend Marat Khairulin shows you the areas. You can see yourself what is happening at Pokrovsk, which is catastrophe. And if that hasn't been enough, there is catastrophe in Kupiansk now, because Russians already took several critical villages there yesterday and today, and they are in 3 kilometers from Kupiansk, which is the critical juncture, railroad juncture. So there you go. Look at this. This is how more or less maps look like. They do not necessarily produce, especially in terms of their defense lines, a single front. It is basically they're kind of their spots, but in terms of Kursk, and we have this situation yesterday, just to show you. Here it is. We have the, well, actually it's today, the 30th, Russian paratroopers destroyed a reconnaissance group of the armed forces of Ukraine in the Kursk region. It's one of many of the news. It's one of many, reports, because those groups, and including the groups which are trying to simply escape, are being annihilated in multiples. And so here it is. So I saw the video. Yeah, it's pretty grim. A video with the destroyed reconnaissance group of the armed forces of Ukraine was transferred to RIA News. Yeah, the 22 corpses, some of them, the corpses. There are other groups which are dispersed and annihilated. And so they report a reconnaissance group of 22 soldiers belonging to this 22nd Separate Mechanized Brigade destroyed north of the village of Snagast of the Kursk region. I will show you why it is important. And so about this, in continuation of this report, we have that as reported on August 29 by the Ministry of Defense of Russian Federation, during the hostilities in Kursk direction, the armed forces of Ukraine lost up to 7,450 servicemen, 74 tanks. And now let me show you why Snagast is important. Here it is. As you can see yourself on this satellite picture, and that explains to you the whole plan from the get-go, as I already told you. You see yourself, the distance from the state border, which soon will cease to exist, between Sumy region of Ukraine and Snagast, is about 5 miles. It's about 8 kilometers. But as you can see yourself on the north, as they reported to the north of this Snagast village, as you can see yourself, a large forest area. This is important because the only way for them, as you saw yourself in the opening video, they cannot move now anywhere. They can hide only in those teeny-weeny, forest, spots, so to speak. And that's where, for example, this group has been annihilated. Then they collected the corpses all over the place, Russian paratroopers. And yeah, as you saw yourself, as I already stated in the opening video, with the Akhmat guys, the Aid battalion, just doing what they do best, So, and yeah, it's a killing field there, and the real number of the killed, it's gonna be in around probably 10,000 there. So because now they cannot escape. Some of them surrender. But here we have to also keep in mind one thing which I have to explain to you, and it's going to be very unpleasant to those people who still believe, in their all those, mythology of the Western armies. Suddenly, 3 days ago, New Yorker, mind you, they suddenly published 3 days ago the article. It's called the Haditha massacre photos that the military didn't want the world to see. When U.S. Marines killed 24 people in Iraqi town, they also recorded the aftermath of their actions. For years, the military tried to keep those photos from the public. Why it is important? You can go to New Yorker and you can go elsewhere and dial Haditha. And what is most important, this was not one-off. This was a systemic atrocity committed by the US Army in Iraq. These are terrifying photos. They executed the two families, I believe. One was executed on the road with children, then another, including 6 children, 6 little children have been executed in their home. And so these are terrifying things. Well, guess what? Who made sure that those who committed this atrocity will get off easily? Mr. Mattis, this, U.S. Marine General, tough, dude, the defense secretary in Trump's administration. Well, Trump chose him because he looked cool, and spoke, like a, tough guy. Well, sure. So, and what can I say about it? So here are the other things and patterns which you have to keep in mind. And how to put it politely, it's difficult. Ambassador Miroshnik today told what mercenaries were spotted in the Kursk region. He talks about the foreign mercenaries who spoke English, then people who spoke with a Georgian accent. It's machine translation. It's really funny, but yeah, those Georgians as well as Polish formations were seen in the Kursk region. And earlier Miroshnik told RIA News that he visited the Kursk region last week. And so people with whom I met and from whom I received confirmed data mentioned the appearance of people speaking English, people with a Georgian accent, Polish formations on the territory of Kursk region. And so then there are some terrifying things he's describing. So he tells that the representatives themselves from Ukraine who were either captured or with whom local residents communicated indicate that people from among the armed forces of Ukraine who have something human left in them said that go away to the civilians in the border region. The Poles are following us. They will not spare you. These are the words I convey verbatim, the ambassador concluded. Well, what was happening there in this case, you may ask, and you know what, there is this report, and this is just one of many, yesterday. The Ukrainian military in the area of Malaya Lokhnya, this is the farthest one of their groups reached in the Kursk region, shot 3 children aged 10-12 who were trying to evacuate on the motorcycle. The deputy commander of the battalion of the 9th Motorized Rifle Regiment of the 11th Army Corps with the call sign Cadet told reporters, soldiers of the armed forces of Ukraine put children on a motorcycle with a sidecar and told in which direction to go. When the children went, they were shot in the back. Execution of children, women, old people, rape. There are horrendous number of the rapes by Ukrainians, Poles, Americans, and all other type of people, mercenaries, so to speak. Well, many of them are cadre officers or cadre military. It was a norm when they basically invaded. These are not army. This is a freaking gang. It's a criminal group. And New York article is symptomatic, and it is, how to put it, it's not coincidental. People who remember what Cy Hirsch wrote about this My Lai, massacre, and Lieutenant Kelly, who never was really seriously, charged. My Lais were numerous, so to speak, in Vietnam. Rapes, execution of civilians, were just norm there. Well, as you can see yourself, the pattern repeats itself, and Russian people say they behave themselves like Nazis did. Well, my congratulations to Pentagon and US Army. They support that. In fact, I'm pretty sure many people in Pentagon and CIA rubbed their hands because they gave it to those damn Ruskies. So there you go. So, and when people talk about some high moral grounds, as I already stated, read New Yorker. And about Haditha massacre, it wasn't the single occasion. It wasn't one-off. It was a systemic, just atrocity against Iraqi civilians. So, well, I know it's unpleasant to understand this, but this mythology, and you know what, the U.S. Army, the force for good, well, you saw yourself what good it is. And as I already stated, I have the people who are, oh my God, stop your English, anti-English rhetoric. Why should I stop? Because it's a free country for now, United States. There's those remnants of this free speech and expression. So, for example, these are the guys who have been trained by British. And guess what? Do you know what British Army is known for? No, it's not for its successes, which are very timid and few far in between. It was known for the invention of the, obviously, concentration camps during the Boer War. So, of course, some Americans will come up and say, no, yeah, that was Northern, aggressors who created those concentration camps against us Southerners. Well, yeah, that wasn't exactly like this, but concentration camps, as the industry, have been created by British. He asked Boers, asked those South Africans, so that's where it all came from. Well, so Nazis were not actually inventing something new. They just added a little bit of the industrial, dimension to it, including the obviously crematoriums, which, by the way, Germany and others provide for the mobile crematoriums for armed forces of Ukraine to burn those bodies. And there are plenty of those of the armed forces of Ukraine. So, to really explain to you how the scale of this, let me give you the latest data on the total losses. As you can see yourself, today is yesterday 29th, it is 4 tanks and 23 armored vehicles, 21 artillery and mortars, 2,575 personnel killed and wounded, by primarily killed. So it's a slaughter continuous, and as I already stated, they moving towards Kupiansk, 3 kilometers away from Kupiansk, and obviously the critical railroad junction, which is called Kupiansk-Uzlovaya, which is literally, Uzlovaya means knot. So it literally means the knot, railroad knot in Kupiansk. So, and, once it's there, you understand. The road to Kharkov is open easily, but again, there's Sumy also out there, not far from Kiev. We have to understand that this fate have been sealed. There will be no negotiations. There will be no existence of Ukraine as a state, which is, we already saw yourself, what is nothing more than how to put it politely, it's a criminal state. And this is what I wanted to tell you, except for this, just kind of lighten up this whole mood of this atrocity which is committed by the NATO force, essentially. Here's, we have the funny thing. It's now, it's Inspector Clouseau. It's a Pink Panther. It's Peter Sellers has to really play this thing. And now we have that Vladimir Z. This, Ukrainian dude who blew up the, Nord Stream 2. Suspect used government car to flee. Spiegel says it. The Ukrainian driver allegedly behind the sabotage of Nord Stream pipelines managed to escape German arrest warrant with the help of Kiev and possibly Warsaw, Der Spiegel has claimed. According to an investigation by Der Spiegel published on Thursday, Zhuravlyov, this Z guy, was actually in Germany in May and in Poland at the time the warrant was issued. Polish authorities did nothing to detain him, the outlet claimed, and Zhuravlyov was able to cross into Ukraine on July 6 in a car belonging to the Ukrainian embassy in Warsaw. Wow, the plot thickens. So, you know what? I understand Spiegel. There are no people of honor, integrity, and they're just basically low one-cell organisms there. But you know what? Only imbeciles in Europe buy this crap. Okay? So, and Cy Hirsch, God bless his soul, while I would suggest him to stay away from the hell away from military analysis, he definitely did his, job while investigating what happened with the Nord Stream 2. And we know these were not Ukrainians or Poles. Poles may have been part of it, but it was primarily clear-cut NATO of the, American variety, which blew up those pipelines. So, but what can I say? The good comedy, the good laugh is always, and, this is, I guess, German humor, whatever you can call it. So, and this is what I wanted to tell you today, guys. And as always, those who like what I do, please subscribe to my channel. And those who can afford it, please support me on Patreon or buy me a coffee or two. And what can I say? I wish you a good and happy weekend. Just give some rest, and I'll talk to you later, guys. Bye-bye.